People only believe what they want to believe. This aphorism, people only believe what they want to believe, is a common description by proponents of an observation or argument of their opponent's beliefs. Proponents and opponents in a relative sense. This aphorism is often said simultaneously by all parties having opposing descriptions or beliefs regarding the same sense experience, theoretical dispute, or a fabric of language made of both. What usually occurs as exasperation sets in is that proponents and opponents battling over the truth of their respective claims of knowledge often end their disputes by stating this aphorism of each other as a final means to dismiss the opponent's beliefs as not justified in any epistemic, normative, nor even in a rational sense, but is simply accusing the opponent of having an irrational act of will that is immune to reason. As a philosophical observation in Western philosophy of how beliefs are sometimes justified, this aphorism goes as far back as the ancient Greeks and is formalized in modern psychology as confirmation bias. Furthermore, as a matter of practical reality, in our modern technological society in which the average individual is flooded and bombarded by wanted and unwanted information almost every waking minute, it is a necessity to have a reflex or intuitive process of deciding between junk beliefs and beliefs with value in order to make it through the day. Except for those whose occupation it is to produce ideas, for most people, moments allowed for deductive or other logical contemplation of beliefs are few and far between. The relationship between beliefs and knowledge is not altogether clear. As I discussed in a prior podcast, some philosophers define knowledge as justified true belief, but there are serious problems with that issue. Even belief that is irrational and is purely an act of will is significant sometimes, and of both epistemic, metaphysical, and normative significance. As the philosopher William James observed, a will to believe, despite of lack of facts, or even in contradiction to the facts, is often a necessary condition for rational, benevolent, and social action. As William James said, quotation mark, a government, an army, a commercial system, a ship, a college, and athletic team all exist in this condition, without which not only is nothing achieved, but nothing is even attempted, close quotation mark. Furthermore, this aphorism implicitly brings up the issue of Moore's paradox. Moore's paradox consists of the following. In the actual word game of belief, just as in its logical form, though it may seem to be an absurdity, there is no contradiction in stating an assertion of what is and a contradictory belief of that same what is. For example, it is not a contradiction to say, "It is snowing, but I do not believe it is snowing," or "It is snowing, but I believe it is not snowing." In fact, many times such statements act as statements of morality or for aesthetic meaning. For example, "Trump is president, but I do not believe he is president," is a common expression heard after the 2016 election results. And if it had been any different, a common expression would have been, "Clinton is president, but I do not believe she is president." These statements make sense if taken as a normative act of will, rejecting present sense experience. These statements of belief serve as statements of what ought to be when we disagree with what is. Despite their apparent inconsistency in meaning between the evidence for a belief and the belief itself, thus giving the appearance of absurdity and irrationality, such statements often are the foundation for epistemic evaluation of beliefs. Such statements at least exhibit a concern for evaluative norms. A nihilist or someone who is completely amoral would not even bother caring about what is or what ought to be, but deal solely with assertion. In opposition to the argument against justified true beliefs contemplated in prior podcasts, there may be something good about the person who irrationally gets true beliefs. This presents us with certain questions. How far or how significant is this distinction between belief and knowledge? It seems to be possible to have false beliefs that lead to knowledge. It seems to be possible to have knowingly false beliefs. Is there and does this aphorism describe a permanent duality or crevice between what belief is and what knowledge is? Can it be that belief and knowledge are completely separate concepts? I will contemplate these questions in the next series of podcasts. And I leave you with a full quotation by William James, quotation mark, "A social organism of any sort whatever, large or small, is what it is because each member proceeds to his own duty with a trust that the other members will simultaneously do theirs. Wherever a desired result is achieved by the cooperation of many independent persons, its existence as a fact is a pure consequence of the precursive faith in one another of those immediately concerned. A whole train of passengers, parentheses, individually brave enough, close parentheses, will be looted by a few highwaymen simply because the latter can count on one another, while each passenger fears that if he makes a movement of resistance, he will be shot before anyone else backs him up. If we believed that the whole carful would rise at once with us, we should each severally rise, and train robbing would never even be attempted."